Greetings and salutations. How's everybody doing this evening? I hope you guys are all well. Tonight I've got some great Dogman encounters to share with you. Before we get into these encounters, a couple links I'd like to share as well. First, as you know, I'm commercial free, so I rely on my Patreon, PayPal, and merch links to help this channel grow and go. Also, I have a second channel just for creepypasta, fan fiction, and scary voice acting. If that's anything that you're into, follow that link and give those stories a listen. You might just like them. And with that, guys, let's get on with these encounters, shall we? Our first Dogman encounter of the evening brings us to Quebec, Canada, 1990s. Blue Sea Lake. In the early 90s, a couple living near Blue Sea Lake saw an enormous wolf walking on two legs besides a rural highway. As their car approached, the beast crouched, then leapt an estimated 30 feet before vanishing into the trees along the roadside. Our second Dogman encounter of the evening. Quebec, Canada also. June 1st, 2005. The Beast of Seven Chutes, a photo taken in Quebec, supposedly shows a dogman in the bottom right corner in the woods. It has gotten a lot of attention because, well, dogmen are often not filmed. It is reported that the beast appears to be holding something and looking up at the photographer, who had no idea he was even there. With that photo, guys, I don't have permission to use it, so you guys can just look up the Beast of Seven Chutes, and Chutes is spelled C-H-U-T-S. It's quite an interesting photo. Our third encounter of the evening. The year 1887, Wexford County, Michigan. The first known sighting of the Michigan Dogman occurred in 1887 in Wexford County when two lumberjacks saw a creature whom they described as having a man's body and a dog's head. Our fourth encounter of the evening, 1938, Paris, Michigan. Robert Fortney was attacked by 5 wild dogs and said that one of the 5 dogs was on 2 legs. Reports of similar creatures also came from Elgin County in the 50s and the Matisse and Cross Village in 1967. Our fifth Dogman of the evening brings us to Manistee, Michigan, 1986. An unknown bipedal Michigan dogman near Manistee, Michigan. This happened in the fall of 1986 when I was stationed in Manistee. I left the Manistee Army recruiting station late and was driving home to London. It was back on the back road as US 31 takes too long. It was early fall and it was dark. The deer were out, so I had to be careful while I was driving. This was farm country and the deer graze in the fields. I saw a reflection of my headlights off to the left of me in a darkened field. They appeared to be eyes, but they stood too high to be a deer and too far apart also. I saw it run across and the leap was incredible. It leapt only 3 times, far greater than any animal could, and leaped across a 2-lane road with ease. It was too dark to see the shape, but from the position from the eyes, there's no animal it could have been. I know that it was not a deer, and from what I could tell, it was a lot taller than I am, and I am 6'2". I don't know if anybody has or had any experience like this. As far for color, the eyes were sort of yellow. I remember that it was almost 20 years ago when I saw it. I'm an outdoorsman, although in the recent years I have not been. And I know animals, so when I saw that I was surprised by its leaping ability. And the eyes, I do remember that they were not like any other animal I had seen before. The height of the creature was a lot taller than any animal I had seen also. I do remember that I saw both eyes as if it was looking at me the whole time. Alls I really remember and can't get out of my mind is its leaping ability. I will never forget that. Our sixth Dogman encounter of the evening brings us near Lansing, Michigan, 2006. May 6, 2006, I was driving back from my girlfriend's house, who lives around Lansing, Michigan. I was coming back from the store, and she lives out in the country, completely isolated, so the only way to get there is to go down dirt roads that are surrounded by fields. Anyways, so I'm driving, and I see something moving on this little hill that was to the right of me. So I stopped, because if it was a deer, I didn't want to hit it, and then all of a sudden, a human-like hand, except much larger than a normal man's hand, reached over the edge of the hill, and this huge silhouette came into view. It was much larger than a normal man, and it had a wolf-like face and its eyes reflected in my headlights. It just sat there and looked across the field on the other side of the road, and then just very calmly turned its head and looked right at me. I froze out of fear, and we sat locked in each other's gaze for about 20 seconds, and then it started to move down the hill, so I hit the gas and flew past it. And when I got to the stop sign, I stopped and looked in the rearview mirror, and it was sitting in the middle of the road, just looking at my car. And I took off again, and as I was going, I looked back, and it moved very calmly to the other side of the field. I've never been so scared in my life. After I got back to my girlfriend's house, her and I and her mom went back to the spot, but the creature was gone. This happened between Lansing and a small town called Eaton Rapids. Our seventh Dogman encounter of the evening, 2009, 3 Lakes. My son and I were driving on US 41 M28 towards 3 Lakes in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, where I live. This beast ran across the highway near Tioga Creek, and I had not heard of anything like this before. We're familiar with all the animals that live here. Moose regularly cross in front of drivers, so we watch the sides of the roads very carefully. We were puzzled and thought it might have been some kind of mutant wolf and couldn't figure out what we had witnessed. It ran fairly fast, about 50 feet in front of our truck. It was so strange because the front of it was much higher than its back, larger than any wolf. Very strange to see. Our final Dogman encounter of the evening, August 5th, 2011. Baraga County, Upper Peninsula, Michigan. I was driving north on Craig Lake Road towards Teddy Lake. As I approached Nestoria Road, I noticed something move off the edge of the road into the woods. It was around 6:30 a.m. and a little dewy and foggy at that time, but I definitely saw something move. I stopped at the intersection and watched across Nestoria Road. I first thought it was a moose, but it was much too agile. I took a slow left turn and looked to my right into the woods. I didn't see anything, so I looked forward and sped up. Immediately, this animal ran out of the woods in front of my car and jumped across the road to the south side. I mean, it took 3 long strides and it was gone, almost like it vanished through the invisible wall. I was shocked. I continued to drive for a few minutes, but had to pull off and stop. I was literally shaking from head to toe. I sat there wondering what the hell it was. It was on 4 legs and had back legs like those of a large man. It had jet black fur and looked like a very large wolf, other than its back legs and human-like rump. It had no tail. The profile of the head, it had a snout just like a wolf. It didn't make a sound. I made it back to the lake and drove home safely. Wow, guys, right there. Some amazing Dogman encounters. I really enjoy the history of the Dogman. I'm going to dive a little deeper very soon into some older stories, some lumberjack folklore. I've been doing some research and filling my notebook with information for you guys that I am dying to share with you. I want to thank everybody for all of the comments and support that you guys have given this channel. 2,250 so subscribers. You guys are great. Thank you so much. If you guys have any stories, encounters, suggestions, my email is in the description below. I've got a fascinating subscriber Bigfoot story coming up. I will be sharing that hopefully tomorrow with you guys. And with that, guys, have a good night. Stay safe. Keep the lights on when you go outside.